Hi, I'm Sandy. My parents never hid the fact that I was adopted from me. When I was still a baby, my biological mom and dad died, and I was left an orphan. I've always been grateful to my adoptive parents for giving me a family. They were wonderful people, successful, smart, and very loving. My dad was a scientist. He and his business partner owned a research company. I wanted for nothing. Mom and dad raised me well. I was honest and I knew etiquette like the back of my hand. The problem was, I had a voice in my head that was constantly calling me to the dark side. I don't know where it came from, but I named my alternate personality. I called her Grace, and I often talked to her, but never took her advice. Aren't you tired of playing the violin? You should go party. Leave me alone, Grace. I'm busy. Buzzkill. My parents wanted me to be humble. That's why, even though our family was quite rich, I still worked as a waitress and went to an ordinary school. I had a strained relationship with a classmate of mine called Cliff. He hated me and he was always picking on me for no reason. Cliff dreamed of becoming a director and carried a camera with him everywhere. It was like his life's ambition was to film a video of me that would want to make me sink through the floor. Put your camera away, I'm studying. Oh, would you look at that? Her Majesty is furious. That jerk was always trying my patience. I wasn't about to stoop to his level, though. Shortly before my 18th birthday, Dad's business partner, Mr. Fox, suddenly came over for a visit and gave me a cute teddy bear. Thanks, but my birthday is in a week. I'm just giving it to you a bit early. I shrugged and I put the bear in my room. The adults locked themselves in Dad's office and discussed something for a long time. I could barely recognize my parents after that evening. They were constantly on edge and tried to control my every move. Sandy, you can only leave the house to go to school or work, got it? I didn't get what was wrong with them. Before, Mom and Dad had always trusted me and I'd never let them down. One morning, my classmates crowded around me and asked me how I was going to celebrate my birthday. I said I would probably just spend the day with my parents. Of course, Cliff broke in to make fun of me as usual. Who are you trying to fool? Just say you're going to Milan on a private jet. A private jet? What made him think I was loaded? I ignored Cliff, but he wouldn't back off. Why don't you throw a huge party and invite the whole school to it? My inner rebellious voice loved that idea. Sandy, you've always wanted to throw a big party. Come on, fulfill your dream and shut him up. I did want to do something special for my 18th birthday, so I promised my classmates I'd organize an unforgettable party. I filmed you. You can't go back on your word now. I resolved to wish for Cliff to disappear from my life before blowing out the candles on my birthday cake. After classes, I came to an event planning agency and chose a beautiful place on the beach for my birthday party. We need to organize a buffet for 100 people. I want Harry Styles to jump out of the cake and sing me a song at the end of the evening, and then bang! Fireworks will light up the sky. My classmates will love it. All that was left to do was pay the bill. Except, geez, that was a lot of money, huh? I realized I couldn't afford such a party without asking my parents for help, so I booked a date and promised to come back with money soon. As soon as I got home, I told Mom and Dad all about my plans for my birthday and I asked them for money for the party. Their reaction surprised me. No parties. You aren't some delinquent. We raised you well and good girls don't party. I tried to change their mind, but it was useless. So I locked myself in my room and I tried to figure out where I could get the money I needed. Grace was brimming with ideas. She wanted me to steal the money. But of course, I didn't listen to my inner voice. Shut up, Grace. I'm not gonna break the law. Oh, I know. I'll pawn my car and just buy it back later. Good luck. You're gonna need it. The next morning, I got into my car and I drove to a pawn shop to get the money. But on the way there, I realized that something was wrong with my car. Soon, I lost control of it and bang! Hit a pole with my bumper. Can you believe it? Luckily, I wasn't injured, but the car was a mess. The bumper was dented and smoke was pouring out from under the hood. Oh no, no one's gonna buy this useless pile of scrap metal now. As I was staring at my car and despairing, I noticed that my tire had been punctured. So that's why I lost control of the car. Why would someone do that to me though? There were no surveillance cameras near our garage, so I didn't know who to blame. I called a tow truck and I asked them to bring the car back to our parking lot. I decided not to tell my parents about the incident yet. They no longer trusted me anyway. I didn't want to give them a new reason to worry. I came back to my room and I tried to come up with a plan to get the money I needed for the party of the century. I know, I'll ask my boss, Mrs. Freeman, to lend me some money. She likes me. I'll just work for her for free later. The plan seemed foolproof. I immediately went to the restaurant where I worked and I explained the situation to my boss. That is quite a lot of money. But you're a good girl, Sandy, and I trust you. Mrs. Freeman handed me a stack of cash. We agreed I would work for free for the next 6 months. And then I put the money into my purse and I headed to the agency to pay for my party. I usually moved around the city by car, but now I had to use the subway. To be honest, my stomach was in knots the entire time. I kept getting lost, and it was so packed I felt like a sardine trapped in a can. I put my purse on the seat next to me, and I stared at the map, trying to figure out which station I was supposed to get off at. 40 minutes later, I finally arrived, and I was about to leave the train. But then I realized that my purse with the money was missing. Someone had stolen it. My heart sank. I started looking for the thief, but they must have left a long time ago. Even though the subway car was full of people, none of them were any help. Sorry, I didn't see anything. Dang it! There was no getting my money back. I hadn't paid for the party, but I'd still have to work for free for the next 6 months. Gutted, I trudged home in a terrible mood. Then a wallet suddenly fell out of the pocket of a guy walking in front of me. I picked it up and I looked inside. Wow, it was stuffed full. Of course, my inner voice immediately tried to convince me I should keep the money. You got lucky, Sandy. Grab that moron's money and run. Grace? Yes, baby. Do me a favor and shut up. I didn't listen to her. Instead, I caught up to the handsome stranger and I returned his wallet. His name was Sam. He was so grateful, he even pulled me into a hug. I felt how muscular Sam's arms were and I turned as red as a tomato. This is my grandma's money. I'd be in a world of trouble if it weren't for you, Sandy. Do you want me to carry you home? No thanks. I prefer to walk on my own 2 feet. Well, I still want to thank you. I can see you're upset. Is there any way I can help? Sam seemed trustworthy, so I told him about my problems. He gave me his grandmother's address and said I should go there the next day. Come over, and I'll help you get the money. I felt like I was walking on air as I skipped home, talking to myself. See, Grace? I didn't bend my morals, and I got to know a good guy. Sam was my reward. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. The next day, I came to the address that Sam gave me. I knocked, but no one opened. I was about to leave when the door creaked open. Hey, anyone home? I carefully walked inside and I shouted Sam's name. It was silent, like there was no one there. I thought Sam had maybe stepped out for a moment, so I decided to wait for him and I took a closer look at the photos on the wall. You won't believe what happened then. Cops suddenly burst into the house and said the alarm had gone off when I broke into the house. The door just swung open. I'm not an intruder. I was invited here. Hey, why are you handcuffing me? You have the right to remain silent. Before I could say anything else, they sat me in a car and brought me to a police station. The cops soon realized I hadn't done anything wrong, and they let me go. I thought I got off easy until I saw the faces of my parents, who'd been called to the station. Mom and Dad were furious, like I'd actually robbed a bank. Sandy, I never thought I'd have to pick you up from a police station. It's a misunderstanding. I don't want to hear any excuses. Get in the car. They yelled at me all the way home. We'd never fought like that before. I felt terrible and I burst into tears out of sheer frustration. It made my parents soften a little. Sandy, sweetie, we only want what's best for you. Be careful and don't get into trouble until you come of age. You don't want to let us down, do you? Let you down? Please tell me what's going on. Why are you being so strict with me? Okay, there's no point in hiding it from you anymore. It's about time you found out the truth. They told me my biological parents were criminals. And not just petty criminals, but truly horrible people. When my adoptive parents took me in, they bet Mr. Fox that they'd be able to raise me to be a good, honest, and hardworking girl, even though my parents were despicable people. I've always believed in nurture over nature. That's why your mother and I tried to raise you like a princess. But Mr. Fox was convinced that you'd become a criminal anyway because of your parents' blood flowing through your veins. I couldn't believe my parents and Mr. Fox had made a bet about my future like that. It was important for my parents to win because Dad's research company was at stake. Is that why you forbade me from throwing a party? Did you think I was gonna do something stupid? Seems like you don't believe I won't follow in the footsteps of my biological parents either. That's when I finally realized why my inner voice was like that. Grace existed to remind me that I was the daughter of criminals. Finding out that I was nothing more than a project for my adoptive parents hurt. My heart sank and tears stung my eyes. I wanted to be left alone, so I ran away from home. I sat in the park, fed the ducks, and complained about my problems. So, that's my story, guys. I don't know how to move on from that. Look at me. Now I'm talking to ducks on top of everything else. All of a sudden, Sam came up to me. He looked guilty as heck. I'm so sorry. I gave you the wrong address and I accidentally sent you to the wrong house. I'm not mad at you. Hey, you're white as a sheet. What's going on? I told Sam everything I'd found out. You know, if your parents had simply given you the money for the party, none of this would have happened. He was right. I wouldn't have crashed my car or gotten into debt. I would have simply celebrated my birthday and shown Cliff up. My inner rebel Grace took the floor. I told you you should steal the money. For the first time in my life, I decided to listen to my inner voice. I knew the password to my dad's safe in the office. What was stopping me? I told Sam about my plan. Are you sure? That's stealing. It doesn't matter anymore. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to steal from my dad's safe. Before Sam left, I invited him to my party. Then I headed towards my dad's office. It was already late and he had long since left. All I had to do was sneak inside, punch in the code, and disable the alarm. I was about to do just that when I froze. What am I doing? My adoptive parents are good people. They gave me everything. I can't do this to them. Blah, blah, blah. Your parents are the real criminals. Mr. Fox is right. You're not a good person anyway. Take the money. No, forget about the party. My parents' trust is more important. You're just a coward. You know what? I get to decide the kind of person that I want to be, and I choose to be good. Now get out of my head. Grace turned red with fury and suddenly disappeared. My gut was telling me I wouldn't hear from her again. Goodbye, Grace. I won't miss you. I changed my mind about stealing from my parents and I decided to go back home. But when I turned around, I bumped into Cliff. Hey, did you follow me here? Yes. I mean, no. Listen, we need to talk. What he told me blew my mind. Have some patience, guys. You'll find out what I mean soon enough. A few days after that, I finally threw the party of my dreams. Everyone was there. My classmates, Cliff, Sam, even my parents. Where did you get the money for all this? I'll tell you when the time is right. Then, a gorgeous car stopped by the beach and Mr. Fox got out of it. He looked like the cat that got the cream as he shook some photos in front of my dad's face. I won the bet. The company is mine. What are you talking about? Your daughter followed in her parents' footsteps. Look at this. Sandy stole money from our office. Dad looked at the photos of me pulling money out of the safe and couldn't believe my eyes. He even called his assistant to ask him to check the safe in the office. It's all here, sir. Not a single dollar is missing. Now it was Mr. Fox's turn to be speechless. How is this possible? I have proof. Let me show you a movie I made. It'll clear some things up. With those words, Cliff turned on his movie for the big screen. For the first time in my life, I was grateful for his habit of carrying his camera everywhere with him. First, we saw a secret chat between Cliff and Mr. Fox. Dad's business partner knew that he was going to lose the bet, so he didn't play fair. He bribed my classmates so he'd corner me and leave me no choice but to throw an extravagant party. Sure, no problem. But why are you doing this? I want Sandy to desperately need money. She'll break the law trying to get it. I asked you to help me because I know you can't stand Sandy. Okay, I'm in. After that, Mr. Fox found out I was going to pawn my car and demanded Cliff mess with it to stop me. Cliff ended up puncturing my tire because he didn't have any better ideas. My accident was not part of his plan, though. Then, Mr. Fox found out I wanted to borrow some money from my boss and made Cliff steal my purse. By the way, I know you put a bug in the teddy bear you gave me to spy on me, so I'm returning your gift. I threw the toy at the man and we all kept watching the movie. Next, Mr. Fox made his son Sam approach me. Sam dropped his wallet on purpose. Cliff was supposed to film me as I kept the money to myself, but I did the right thing again. When that didn't work, Sam sent me to his grandmother's house and then called the police and told them that someone had broken in. I was brought to the police station, but they quickly let me go. Mr. Fox had failed to set me up yet again. Later, Sam talked to me and made sure I was ready to steal the money from the safe. He immediately reported everything to his father, and Mr. Fox sent Cliff to my dad's office to film me. But I'd already realized Sandy was a good person and deserved to know the truth. So I told her everything. We made these photos to fool you, Mr. Fox. Cliff, you little brat. I paid you. Take your dirty money. I don't want it. As you might have guessed already, Cliff returned the purse he'd stolen to me, and I used the money I borrowed from Mrs. Freeman to throw the party. Mr. Fox realized he'd lost the company and left the beach with his cunning son in disgrace. Meanwhile, to my surprise, Cliff's movie kept playing. My adoptive parents are good people. They gave me everything. I can't do this to them. After seeing such a touching scene, Mom and Dad hugged me tight. Later, Cliff admitted he hadn't liked me because he thought I was a spoiled rich girl. Luckily, he eventually realized that was not the case. We became good friends, and soon I found out that Sam had gone to prison for petty crime. Now I know that the child of rich parents can become a scumbag too, and a kid born into a family of criminals doesn't necessarily have to become a criminal too. It's up to us to decide who we want to be. Do you agree?